If you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who loves a good story. So tell me, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I'd love to know. Your voice matters here. And if Rachel's journey moved you, just wait until you see what happens next. A new chapter begins tomorrow, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Let's continue this journey together. One twist, one heartbreak, one triumph at a time. For 7 years, Rachel loved him quietly. She gave up the red carpets, the flashing cameras, and the applause of millions to be the woman behind the rising star, Ethan, Hollywood's golden boy. At just 22, she walked away from a thriving career to build a life with the man she thought would stand by her side forever. But forever came with conditions. Conditions like, not now, and let's wait until the next film wraps. Year after year, promise after promise, Ethan climbed higher while Rachel waited in the shadows, smiling politely, loving patiently, and putting his dreams before her own. Then came the interview. It was supposed to be light-hearted, a celebration of Ethan's success and the couple everyone thought would last. But when the host leaned in and asked, 7 years together? Are we expecting wedding bells soon? The lights dimmed behind Ethan's eyes. He hesitated. And in front of the cameras, the audience, and the entire world, he said, I'm at the peak of my career right now, and I think Rachel and I both agree that we should focus on work. The words stung like ice water, and maybe she would have smiled through it, nodded, and played along like she always had. But then she saw her, Chloe, the young actress everyone whispered about. She sat just off stage, wearing a ring Rachel had once believed was one of a kind, handcrafted by Ethan himself. It gleamed on Chloe's finger like a silent declaration, and in that moment, Rachel didn't feel loved. She felt replaced. So she smiled, not the soft, sweet smile of the woman who waits. No, this one was different. It was the smile of someone who remembered who she used to be, who she still was. Calmly, with the grace of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything left to gain, Rachel removed her engagement ring and placed it on the table. You're right, she said, her voice steady. We should focus on work. So starting today, I'm making my comeback. The crowd gasped. Ethan froze. The cameras flashed. But Rachel didn't look back. As she walked off that set, it wasn't heartbreak. She carried with her, it was clarity. The kind of clarity that only comes after years of silence, of being second, of forgetting what it feels like to chase something for yourself. That night, she packed her bags, called her agent, and reignited the fire she had buried for too long. Rachel wasn't just coming back. She was coming back on her own terms. Tomorrow the world would talk. But tonight, for the first time in a long time, Rachel slept peacefully. The news of Rachel's comeback hit the industry like a lightning strike. Within hours, social media exploded. Some cheered, some doubted, and some whispered that her timing was a little too perfect. After all, just days before, Ethan had been spotted attending a red carpet with Chloe, the sweet-faced newcomer barely out of college and already being pushed as the next big thing. But Rachel didn't flinch. She knew how the game was played, because she once played it better than anyone. What the public didn't know was this: Chloe wasn't just a junior actress. She was under Ethan's personal mentorship. She was signed to his company. And most importantly, Ethan held 80% of the company's shares. Every headline about their on-screen chemistry, every accidental photo leak of them rehearsing late into the night. It wasn't just coincidence, it was marketing, carefully orchestrated, expertly timed, and sold to the public as fate. Rachel had been in this business long enough to see through the glitter. But what burned wasn't the hype or the headlines. It was the look Ethan gave Chloe, the same look he used to save for Rachel when she stepped off stage, breathless and glowing after a standing ovation. And now, that gaze, the one filled with admiration, maybe even love, was directed at someone else. So Rachel stayed silent, but not idle. She moved out of their shared home in the Hollywood Hills, leaving behind every memory, every framed photo, every trace of their life together. Everything, that is, except the engagement ring she placed in the center of the living room table, a symbol of what had been and what would never be again. The next time she saw them, it was in the most ironic of places, a reality variety show about relationships. Rachel had been asked to join as a guest analyst. What she didn't know, until the cameras were already rolling, was that Ethan and Chloe were also in the studio. Whether it was sabotage or fate, the result was the same. Tension you could cut with a knife. Chloe played innocent, stumbling over her words and offering up the seat next to Ethan. Rachel declined with a smile that didn't reach her eyes and sat at the edge of the couch like a queen on her throne, distant, untouchable, and undeniably present. Ethan looked rattled. Chloe looked nervous. And Rachel, she looked free. As the live stream rolled on, fans flooded the chat with theories, judgments, and wild assumptions. Some called Rachel bitter. Others called her brave. But Rachel wasn't reading the comments. She was reading the room. And what she saw was this: a man clinging to his image, and a girl trying too hard to be everything Rachel once was. But Rachel wasn't here to fight for a man. She was here to take back her crown. The fallout from the variety show was immediate. Headlines lit up like wildfire. Rachel versus Chloe, love triangle or PR game, and everyone had something to say. But while the internet spiraled into chaos, Rachel stayed quiet. Not because she was hiding, but because she was working. You see, Rachel didn't return just to make a statement. She came back with a plan. In less than 48 hours, she reactivated her old production studio, one that had been dormant for 7 years, and wired $4.5 million of her own savings into funding a new drama. Not a romance, not a fluffy comeback piece, but a gritty, action-packed martial arts series titled The Legend of Sierra Vale, a genre she once dominated and intended to own again. The industry was stunned. No one expected her to take such a risk, especially on herself. But Rachel had always bet big, and this time, she was the house. Within days, casting began. The stunt team was locked. The crew was assembled, and the production was designed to shoot and stream as it aired, an aggressive schedule that only the bold dared to attempt. Rachel wasn't just chasing relevance, she was rewriting the rules. Ethan, meanwhile, watched from the high sidelines. At first he thought it was a phase, that Rachel would flame out once the media moved on. But as clips from her set leaked online, raw fight sequences, intense monologues, behind-the-scenes footage of Rachel training for 12 hours straight, public opinion started to shift. She's not just back, she's better. Rachel's performance gave me chills. The younger actresses can't touch her. By the time the first episode aired, curiosity had turned to awe. The fight choreography was next level. The storyline was electric. And Rachel, gritty, powerful, captivating, proved that she wasn't a relic of the past. She was the future. Viewership, numbers shattered projections. Sponsors lined up. Brand deals followed. And suddenly, every studio that once passed on her was now begging for a meeting. Chloe faded into the background. Ethan tried to stay composed, but insiders noticed his growing unease. Rumors swirled that he had reached out, offered serious roles to Rachel, even asked to co-produce her next project. She never answered, because while Ethan played games, Rachel built an empire. And the cherry on top? Every dollar made from The Legend of Sierra Vale, from merchandise, licensing, streaming rights, flowed directly back into Rachel's studio. She didn't just return as an actress, she returned as a boss. When the press finally caught up with her, asking how she managed to pull it off, Rachel simply smiled and said, "I stopped waiting for someone to believe in me and started betting on myself." That line alone went viral because in an industry where women are told to fade quietly, Rachel chose fire. And this This was just the beginning. Success didn't make Rachel silent. It made her louder, but not with words, with results. By the time The Legend of Sierra Vale hit its 5th episode, Rachel was a national sensation again. Brands lined up, directors came knocking, her studios, social accounts exploded, and still, she kept her focus razor sharp. Then came the invitation that would light the next fire. The Grand Prix of Acting Skills, a high-stakes, live broadcast competition show where the industry's elite came to prove themselves. Most saw it as a platform to elevate. Rachel saw it as a battlefield. She accepted without hesitation. And when she arrived at the studio, heels clicking on the polished floor, cameras already rolling, she was met with a surprise no one warned her about. Ethan and Chloe, both cast as judges. Of course they were. The producers knew exactly what they were doing. Drama meant views. But Rachel, she wasn't here to play their game. She came to win. The backstage whispers were endless. She only got back in because of Ethan. Is Chloe going to be the champion? Will Rachel walk off live? She heard it all and ignored every word. When it came time to draw the final performance script, fate, or someone behind the scenes, handed her the perfect twist. Breakup. Rachel didn't flinch. She just smiled. Because what better way to close a chapter than on live television? Chloe, meanwhile, was unraveling. Desperate to swap scripts, she begged Rachel, pleaded, even tried to guilt her, crying about not being experienced enough to play a married woman. Rachel looked her dead in the eye and said, "I'm not your mother. Figure it out." The performance began, the lights dimmed, and one by one, contestants took the stage. Chloe's scene came first. Tears, trembling hands, overacted emotion. Ethan gave her an S rating without hesitation. It was expected. Then, Rachel stepped onto the stage. She didn't need props. She didn't need background music. She was the story. With a calm, commanding presence, she delivered her monologue as a woman standing at the end of a long, broken relationship. Her voice trembled only when it was supposed to. Her eyes glistened just enough. And when she whispered, "You never loved me. You loved the idea of breaking me," the room fell completely silent. Aidan, the young tech heir and now co-judge, rose to his feet. "S," he said firmly. Veronica, the industry's vocal queen, nodded. "S." Then came Ethan's turn. His jaw clenched. His eyes flicked to Chloe, then back to Rachel. "A," he said coldly. "Needs work." The audience gasped, but Rachel just smiled, because she didn't need his approval. Not anymore. As she stepped off stage, Ethan followed, cornering her behind the curtains. "You're trying to make me look bad in front of everyone," he hissed. "No," Rachel replied calmly. "You did that all on your own." Then, with the cameras still rolling, she slapped a velvet ring box from his hand. The engagement ring tumbled to the floor. "We're done, Ethan. For good." And just like that, the chapter officially ended, not with tears, but with thunder. The slap echoed far beyond the stage. Not just on set, but across every news outlet, gossip blog, and fan forum. The clip went viral within hours. Rachel ends it with one line. Queen energy. No tears, just power. And while Ethan scrambled, to control the narrative, Rachel stayed focused, unbothered, and unshaken. She had no time to look back. The final votes were in. The judges' scores, excluding Ethan's petty A, placed her at the top. She was crowned champion of the Grand Prix of Acting Skills, live, in front of millions. The audience roared. The standing ovation was deafening, and Aidan, cool and composed in his judge's seat, gave her a slow, proud clap that felt like a promise. That night, Rachel didn't go home to solitude. She went to work. Within a week, her studio inked 3 new deals. She was offered the cover of Vanity Spark, became the face of an elite jewelry brand, and announced a second original drama already in pre-production. Her comeback wasn't just solidified, it was legendary. And yet, in the middle of all this, momentum, something unexpected, bloomed. Aidan, the young tech heir with the thoughtful eyes, boyish smirk, and confidence far beyond his 23 years. He wasn't loud. He didn't chase the spotlight. But when he looked at Rachel, it wasn't with admiration or desire. It was respect. And that, she realized, was something she hadn't felt in years. One afternoon, on a sun-drenched rooftop overlooking LA, he handed her a grape and asked, "You ever get tired of being this strong all the time?" She smiled. "I don't have a choice." "You do now," he said simply. It wasn't some grand declaration. It wasn't a line from a script. It was real, steady, intentional. Over the next few weeks, he showed up, not with flowers or flashy gifts, but with actions. He invested in her studio, not for control, but to support her vision. He turned down interviews that tried to bait him with her name, and when the tabloids tried to spin their connection as scandal, he posted a simple message. "She earned everything. I'm just lucky to witness it." The internet fell in love all over again. Meanwhile, Ethan's world crumbled. His negative press snowballed. His company's stock plummeted, and his carefully built image of devotion collapsed under the weight of truth. Chloe faded into obscurity, and he became just another cautionary tale. Rachel, on the other hand, stood on the biggest stage of her career, accepting the Best Actress award in front of a crowd of thousands. She didn't read the speech she had prepared. Instead, she looked out over the sea of faces and said, "They say life is a multiple-choice question. Whatever you choose, there will always be regret. But choose yourself first. Always." Applause thundered. And backstage, Aidan was waiting, with no promises, no pressure, just a look that said, "Whatever comes next, I've got your back." Rachel smiled, because this time, she believed it. Rachel's journey was more than just a comeback. It was a battle for self-worth, identity, and power. And from walking away from a 7-year relationship to reclaiming her place at the top, she showed us what it means to choose yourself, even when the world expects you to stay quiet. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from something or someone that once meant everything to you? Have you ever been underestimated, only to prove everyone wrong in the most powerful way? Drop your story in the comments. Whether it's a small victory or a life-changing moment, your voice matters here. Also, let us know. Where are you watching from? Which moment in Rachel's story hit you the hardest? Was it the breakup? Her slap in the finale? Or maybe that quiet rooftop conversation with Aidan? And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you don't miss the next chapter. We've got more powerful stories, more unforgettable characters, and more moments that just might reflect your own. This community is growing, with voices like yours. Let's talk in the comments below.